Hello and welcome back to Shut Up and Sit Down's Chronicles month. And if you missed our review of Chronicles of Crime, you can go and check that out. But today we have got Batman Gotham City Chronicles. Today we have Batman Gotham City Chronicles, and today we have Batman Gotham City Chronicles. We're just going to be reviewing these first 5. Batman Gotham City. Is that it? There's another box.
As the master detectives among you may have guessed from this stunning raft of miniatures, Batman Gotham City Chronicles is a Kickstarter game where the more backers they got, they loaded the game with yet more minis.
This is just the base game without any expansions. And to be honest, it's so big that we worried it might break our standardized reference pair, which is why we have brought our standardized reference kohlrabi. Now, we know what you're thinking here.
Is this kohlrabi bigger or smaller than the kohlrabi in my house?
Don't worry, they're exactly the same. It's exactly the same as any of the kohlrabis you find inside your house. But this is a game which is back on Kickstarter now, which is why we're reviewing it. And actually, it's pretty much a game we've reviewed before in the form of Conan, which came out a few years ago. In 2016, we found Conan to be thematic, silly, and plenty of fun. You could crash through a wall, roll some dice, kill a snake, be mobbed, chuck your axe to your friend as your dying act, and then he could throw your axe to kill the boss from about 30 yards. But Batman Gotham City Chronicles is literally twice the game of Conan, twice the miniatures, twice the scenarios, twice the rules, and twice the number of boxes. These are the expansions that they're currently selling for the game. This is just the base game, which costs $130 plus shipping. Wow! It's literally the second most expensive game we've ever reviewed on Shut Up and Sit Down after Kingdom Death Monster. I mean, you can even put out all the boards together to form this sort of panoramic view of the time that all of the characters went to a model village. I'm not sure why these houses are so small, but I'm not sure they're supposed to. I don't know what's going on. Now, in this review, we are only going to be covering the base game. Sometimes when we review things, we say, hey, look, this is the base game, this is the expansion, but that's when you're looking at maybe 50, 60 bucks for the whole patootie. This is $130, so it doesn't really matter if the expansions are good if this isn't good. And on the surface, the base game alone, with all these boxes and all these bits, looks like the ultimate Batman Bat game experience. Players pick a scenario starring 1, 2, or 3 heroes. You set it up, the good team picks their heroes and bat gadgets and all of this stuff, and then they face off against a final player who controls the bad guys. Usually, the good guys then have an objective to complete, and the bad guys have to jog around, sort of running interference like a basketball team on defense. And this also means that Batman has gone down from Conan's 2 to 5 players to 2 to 4 players. It's a slower, heavier game, but it does mean that if you're a big fan of Batman and there's bat things you want in it, they're probably in this base game. How about Harley Quinn? She's in the box. Batarangs? We got Batarangs. The Scarecrow? He's here, he's doing weird stuff. Batclaw? Hot grappling koi? Of course we've got it. Batgirl? Yes. Batwoman? Sure. Batman? Yeah. Man-Bat? Of course. How about Calendar Man? No, that's too specific. There are new rules for elevation and difficult terrain, as well as skills and special items to improve your ability to jump, climb, or fall. But that's just for starters. There are literally rules for being lucky, frosty, which is different from being cool, and even having an imaginary friend. That's because every character they packed into this box has been brought to life with a handful of these special skills. And that's before we get into the expansion that adds Batman's Karmobile, which comes with its own manual of how to play it. And then you've also got the Arkham Asylum expansion, which adds modular Funhouse Carnival boards, and of course, the Wayne's Manor expansion, which comes with an actual dinosaur.
Matt, stop being distracted by all these hot bits. We need to teach them a bit about how to play the game.
No. I want to talk more about boxes within boxes with things that you can unbox.
Matthew Lees!
All right, fine. Well, you can do the boring stuff, and I'm going to go and sit on the kitchen floor and play with these and drink Ribena.
Oh. Can I have a Ribena?
Absolutely not.
So, the foundation of Batman is the same system that we liked in Conan. For the good guys, that's about teamwork and managing your stamina. Matt was being whimsical earlier when he compared this to a team sport, but actually, that's pretty apt. When it's the good guy's turn to act, you don't actually take turns. Instead, you can discuss what you want to do and then alternate your actions. I'm going to move here, I'm going to punch this guy, I'm going to shoot at him, I'm going to go around here. And so in doing this carefully, you will slice through the bad guys like questionable seafood moving through a digestive tract. But also, you're going to be making use of the rules for hindering a lot. If you want to do something like move out of a space or disarm a bomb and there's other people there, that's going to be a problem unless one of your buddies is in that space distracting them. And so, Batman becomes a game really of knowing exactly which of your buddies is good at what and at what range and for how long, and then leaning on your buddies like a one-legged buddy-having junkie who's addicted to buddies. Batman, you're better at punching people. You punch that guy. I'm better at computer. And so long as we're talking about all the different heroes you can play, I love how Gotham City Chronicles handles characters that do not kill. They have this special symbol on, and what that means is if they find a weapon with the same symbol, they can't use it. Which led to an example of play in the manual that cracked me up, where Batman finds a submachine gun, can't use it, and so gives it for 1 stamina to Commissioner Gordon, who then presumably uses it to shoot the Joker in the head. Thanks, Batman! But whichever hero you're playing, the entire game is going to balance on a seesaw of risk and reward because of this stamina system, which is tremendously freeing. If you run up to a guy, you could spend 3 stamina and almost certainly put him through a wall. But that's wasteful. Perhaps it's better to spend just 1 stamina and maybe you'll knock him out, or maybe you'll waste your turn. Or perhaps you could spend a stamina to move past him and just run away, but is he going to catch you up? And how much stamina should you save to guard against your attacks? Because as you take damage, it's your stamina that enters this wound zone. And this system is so thought-provoking and freeing, but what I love most about it is it lets players be heroes, staking everything on one roll of their own superhuman abilities, like a gambler cashing in chips at a roulette table. And as for the villain, they get an even more lovely tactile thing to play with. On their turn, in addition to being able to spend their own cubes, which they also get back a little bit every turn, on rerolls or guarding or extra movement, they pick which group or villain they want to activate, costing them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 cubes. Oh, I'm going to activate the prisoners, but then they go to the end of the queue. But you can always activate them again if you can afford it. And these lovely systems of planning and gambling, this fabulous tactility, this was the heart of Conan. But it's actually only the floor of Batman, with a more elaborate structure on top to support a fancier fiction.
Quins, it's me, Commissioner Matt. There's something in the sky, outside. Look up there, in the night sky. Can you see it?
Oh, I see it all right. It's the criticism symbol. I have to get to the critic cave.
What?
Shut up and give me the keys to your basement.
Oh, okay.
Hello, my name is Bat Critic Man, and I'm here to commandeer this review. Wow! Yes, because this game is a usability nightmare, and I need to take control of your review, Matthew. Oh, that's fine. I wasn't really doing much anyway. But you're a good man, Matthew. Ah.
We have to start with this manual, which is 55 pages long with no index. Credit where it's due, Monolith has put out a how-to-play video, but it's 45 minutes long! If I'm spending that long learning to play a game, I want it to be a Twilight Imperium where I play all day, or a Gloomhaven where learning the game is just the first step on a grand campaign. Batman Gotham City Chronicles is neither of those things. It is, in fact, a game that can take as long to set up and teach as it does to play. Now, part of the problem here is that every character and every enemy has these tiny icons referring to their special skills, and all of these must be found in the manual and memorized by everybody before the game can start. Tiny icons that sometimes, just for fun apparently, have their colours changed. In any kind of sensible world, there would be a reference for this on the back of your character sheet, but no such luck. The good news is that fans of this game have made a load of reference sheets that you really must print out before you start playing Gotham City Chronicles. Bad news is there are dozens and dozens of these pages.
And also I think it's interesting the fact that they've basically made these character sheets look like science fiction computers from movie with little pop-up UIs and cool things and lots of space. But the thing is, science fiction UIs in movies are unusable and stupid and not things that should exist in any kind of real world.
That's a good point, Matthew.
Thanks, Craig.
I also want to draw special attention to something nuts in the mission booklet, which is where you'll find the special rules for each board in the form of elevation, thickness of walls, special moves, and in this case, promontories, which is written nowhere on the board. And so that's another thing you have to print out and give to people. And I've got to say, if your game has special rules for all the different areas on the board, none of which is printed on the board, then the only board I'm interested in is the drawing board that you have to go back to because you designed a game that's really quite awkward.
Oh, good one, Bat Critic Man. It's a really good joke.
Even with the reference sheets though, you're gonna encounter bizarre things, like how this forklift is not something that Catwoman can climb over because it's an impenetrable wall. Or that this is not a window, but a mind-bogglingly inappropriate lighting effect. It also really bugs me that the scenarios in this booklet aren't in any order at all. So every time I play, I have to search for a scenario that might have less setup, or the villains I want, or one that's easier for the heroes, or with less special rules. Why would you not at least order it by player count? Putting it in an order this random feels like it must have been more work. Overall, there is no getting around the fact that when you play Gotham City Chronicles, the person teaching the game's face is going to be constantly checking one book or another. Oh, Millicent, you chose tear gas as your back gadget. That's really fun for you. Now I need to find the rules for hazardous gas again. And these are not fun books to try and pass while your friends are waiting. I mean, oh my goodness, how's this for an example of poor layout? I was going absolutely spare trying to figure out who starts in any given scenario. Is it the heroes or the villains? Turns out the answer is hidden in this sand timer symbol. If it's blue, the heroes start. If it's grey, the bad guys start. What? What else am I missing on this page? Why is there a plus next to every single hero in this book? Does that mean anything? What does this meter mean? Is it perhaps to track my patience as it rapidly runs out?
But Bat Critic, surely these are just minor annoying speed bumps for the first time you play the game.
And the second time you play the game, and the third, because every time you play, you're going to have different characters and equipment and villains and boards and objectives, all with their own rules. And we have to be clear. Usually games being different every time you play is a good thing. But in Batman, it's not an option, it's not fun, and it's rarely for your benefit. So much of this rules gunk is a kind of CPR. It's the developers frantically trying to breathe life into all of the different miniatures and features and settings that the Kickstarter promised. And that won the developers a ton of backers, but it unquestionably makes this game worse. This game would be so much better if instead of 25 heroes, they just gave you 4. Batgirl, Catwoman, Robin, Batman, and they made sure they were all unique and fun, and most importantly, if you made sure they were all balanced for all the scenarios you might use them with. Boom! I just made your game easier to play, more fun, and cheaper.
Bats! Aha! Bats!
What is this?
I'm a super critic too now. I've got a name. I'm Robert. No, that's not cool. Night Robert. Hey? The thing is, all of these problems that you're talking about, they're all just like, they're problems that players who are experienced, who love the game, will get past those things.
Okay, but let's think for a second about Conan. Conan wasn't a perfect game, but it was pretty easy to start playing it and just enjoy what was cool about the systems. You could teach it quite fast, and then players could get stuck into fiddling with stamina, rolling dice, and making mistakes. And if your team botched a scenario, that was fine. It was a game I'd often play twice in a row. Have a silly fight, quickly set up a different scenario, have another silly fight. It was shallow, but it was still fun, and my friends went home happy. Now, Batman, despite Board Game Geek having it down as a straight re-implementation of Conan, is a very different game. And I should know, I went back and played Conan to check. The scenarios in this game, for whatever reason, are designed with much less of a combat focus. A combat that is inarguably still the coolest part of this game. My God, when you're Batman and you use your combo ability, and you spend 1 cube to go bam bam, and you knock out 2 people with just a couple of dice rolls, that feels amazing.
That's so cool. We played one mission where I came into the bank like this, and then I came back and I swept past that guy, and I jumped into there, and I punched that guy out, and then I jumped through here, and then I kicked through a wall, and then I threw tear gas into that room so the guards couldn't get in, jumped through that room, and then a man came in, and it turned out that the man was like...
It's Clayface.
It's Clayface, and I threw an exploding batarang at him, and it almost killed him in 1 hit.
And how did you feel?
So, it was amazing. It was so cool.
Did you win that scenario?
Oh no, we weren't even close. We lost really badly.
Right, and that, in a game full of unexpectedly fricative moments, is the worst thing about Batman, which is what's fun is completely different from how you win. They've taken Conan's very silly foundation and tried to do something much more serious with it. It's as if they were trying to set up an office workspace in a bouncy castle. Mostly the scenarios in this game aren't won by fighting, but by performing complex manipulation checks. Perhaps hacking a computer, disarming a bomb, or in this scenario, collecting evidence. And this is going to take up a lot of that stamina that the game gave you to do cool stuff. It's like your parents giving you some pocket money, but then charging you interest. Most scenarios give you just 7 turns to complete the objective, which is pretty crappy for a game that takes this long to set up, but let's not get into that. Of those 7 turns, you'll probably have to spend at least 2 of them resting to get your energy back, which is pretty abhorrent for a game this slow. But again, let's not get into that. That leaves you with just 5 turns to complete whatever tedious objectives you're instructed to do. And often that means that all of your moves have to be perfect. You can't waste 1 cube of stamina on anything fun. Sometimes it means you've lost the scenario because for your bat gadgets you chose a grappling hook and batarangs and a cape because you didn't pick the armband computer that would have improved your hacking skill to make the checks doable. Which puts us approximately 1,000,000 miles from what we liked about Conan, which was, to paraphrase, hurting things. In Gotham City Chronicles, we've got a game where trying to arrest a villain would be considered letting your team down. Yeah, that's right. This game's poor usability doesn't just extend to learning the rules and setting up the scenarios. It means that the components don't quite do what you expect. Here, we've got a Batman game where a villain like Mr. Riddles or the Joker Man might only move once in the entire game. Far more of a threat are all of the minions. You see these about 24 quantity of bad dudes? They belong to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different categories of bad dude, each with their own stat lines and bad dude little rule icons, and who roll their own bad dude attack dice, all at different skill checks. And by the way, these dice no longer have the little symbols on from Conan to help colorblind players, and all of this stuff has to be passed by all the players if they're going to plan all of their moves in a long chain, which they kind of have to do in this game, because remember, those objectives are awful. Oh, it's just a mess.
Yeah, but that's not to say that there isn't some genuine magic here. The sculpts are wonderful, and the ziff bang pow of the combat when you're punching out foes or shooting them and knocking them off with these systems, is electric.
Oh, whoa.
And
now,
a lot of fun.
You're going in a wrong direction. These are conciliatory comments. And for that, you don't need Bat Critic Man anymore.
Okay. Oh, well, look, I mean, it's not all roses and peaches here. There's a lot to be had here. A lot of fun to have, but I crucially feel like there's just way too much of it. Yes, you have all this variety between the different missions, but at the same time, like this quantity of plastic all in one box, particularly at a time in the industry where increasingly we're seeing more and more publishers putting out fantastic little experiences in tiny little boxes. Seeing this behemoth of plastic all in one place makes me feel a little bit queasy, frankly.
What's up, Matt? How are you doing? What were you talking
Quiz,
about? I was just getting some olives.
You just missed, like, Bat Critic Man. He was just here.
He was just here?
Yeah, he was so cool. I can't believe you missed it. He was amazing.
He was cool, was he?
He was so cool. And he
Wow.
was handsome and smart. Handsome, yeah. Oh, I just wanted to, like, pull out that cape and, like, sort of maybe pull his leggings up a little bit, kiss his knees, and like, just caress his thighs a little bit, massage,
I think if Bat Critic Man was here, he wouldn't be comfortable
man.
with
He's just so, like,
all of what you're saying.
I can't even imagine what his glutes must be like. Really, he looks like he works out a lot.
Let's just
dream.
If we move on to the conclusion of the...
Sure.
So, pros and cons? Cons. I hate transporting it. I hated learning the rules. I hated setting up the scenarios. I hated teaching it. I hated constantly having to go back to the rule books mid-game because there's all these little fiddly rules interactions, and I hated the objective design. Pros. I really like when you can finally done all that and you throw a batarang and you roll some dice and you knock someone out.
It feels so good, right?
It feels amazing.
But how would you feel about that if you paid $130, $140 for it?
Pretty horrible. How would you feel if you had paid $320 for the base game and all of the expansion stuff?
I'm not actually even willing to imagine that.
Yeah. We think if you want to fiddle with these systems of stamina and the river, then you just want to get Conan, because it's simpler and cheaper and gets out your way.
Just go Conan. And, I mean, honestly, though maybe this gigantic box of things is great if you just want really brilliant Batman miniatures. No?
Have you heard of a game called the Batman Miniatures game from a company called, I believe, Night Models? If you've played Warhammer, you'll know the deal here. The Batman Miniatures game is a game where you can buy the faction you want, whether that's the Penguin and his gangsters, or just a one-person faction that is Batman, and then you have fights on your kitchen table. We reviewed it on the site a few years ago. Haven't played it personally, but it is supposedly very, very, very good. So there's a bit of a surprising recommendation at the end of the video, isn't it? Because not only is that supposed to be a better game, gives you more flexibility of what you want to collect, and even with the sort of terrain you have to buy, it's probably cheaper. Hello?
Oh, sorry. I just got distracted thinking about Bat Critic. He's just so awesome, you know? Oh, Bat Critic, you really are so cool and handsome.
Oh, thank you, Night Robert, but we have to keep our eyes on the prize.
Climbing this wall.
That's right, but because at the top of this wall is where they keep the YouTubers who are really successful, have loads of subscribers, and people who click the like button.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
I know, but if people want to have done that already and want to watch other videos, there's other videos that we have done this way.
I'm so tired.